Okay, I'm quite nervous because I'm a random girl from Germany and I usually don't speak in English. So, excuse my German fugly accent. I want to shit talk about album covers. What makes an album cover special? I've put a few criteria that for me have to meet for an album cover to really make an impact. The first thing to ask yourself is, does it represent the album? This is the most important thing. I love album covers that let you know exactly what you're getting at a glance. It's not easy to convey exactly what the listener can expect with just a single image. A good example for a very successful album cover that communicates the message of the album is Let Go by Avril Lavigne. When you look at the image, you see a teenager in a skater look. It doesn't suggest that we're getting Baby One More Time. It's hard to think about this objectively. The cover is so iconic. Even if I don't know Avril's music, rock pop with lyrics about teenage experience would be the first thing that came to mind. But she's not the only one. Olivia Rodrigo and Billie Eilish also perfectly captured this angsty teen aesthetic in their album covers for Sour and When We Fall Asleep. Each in their own way. Billie's album had a very sinister and dark vibe, which is perfectly conveyed by her slightly crazy smile, white eyes, black background. And with Sour, it's pretty much exactly what the title says. She looks sour and angsty, wearing trendy Gen Z clothes, but you can also tell it won't be a dark album thanks to the bright colors in the background and her outfit, as well as the stickers on her face, and it will have an element of playfulness and humor. That's what communicates with me when I see her on that album cover. Now, let's talk about aesthetics. What one finds beautiful is entirely subjective. But the main thing here is, does the cover stick in your memory? Is it intriguing? Can you tell that a lot of creative work went into it because it's full of details? Does the color scheme work well together? Is it trendy or modern? Does the presentation look cheap or more like a high quality? But I think generally speaking, it's just a feeling. So let's talk about my absolute favorite album covers. After Hours by The Weeknd, Future Nostalgia by Dua Lipa, and Planet Her by Doja Cat. I mean, these covers don't just give you a sense of what the album will sound like. They are also super creative and, to be honest, just beautiful to look at. But why is it exactly? Doja Cat's album is so interesting. It is a concept album and the cover is part of the world building for the universe described in her album. We see Doja on that fictional planet Her. The image is full of details that can only be fully discovered after looking at it for a while. And the color composition is also incredibly satisfying. The blue and the purple carry over into the other visuals of the album, like the music video, and Doja looks just surreal, like some kind of alien, which is perfectly on theme with the album. And in After Hours and Future Nostalgia, we also see a very distinctive visual set. Background and After Hours, while blurry, has such a beautiful warm tone that it harmonizes perfectly with the red blood in The Weeknd's mouth, actually. With Dua too, we see not only her incredible face card, which it always slays, but we also have that styling, which, while is inspired by the 80s, isn't over the top. Actually, a counter example to this are the visuals for Doja Cat's We, which I really don't like. Here we see extreme shoulder pads and 80s neon lights, and it's more like, yeah, we get it at the 80s. Dua gives us more the feeling of the 80s rather than just this superficial styling. She doesn't put it in our throats 80s, but it's more like, yeah, we feel it without you saying it. We think of nightlife and bright colors, and at the same time, even though the colors are very, there are a lot going on, I think the black background actually allows the bright colors to really shine. It's not overwhelming because the black background actually. Yeah, and then to the last point. When is a cover iconic? In my opinion, all the covers I've listed are iconic. Maybe I'm biased, but I'm obsessed with them. They're iconic because they all help define an era that in part represents the decade in which they were released. When I think of COVID pop, I just named it like that, I think of Dua's melancholic gaze at the steering wheel with a glaring, oversized moon hanging above her. I also think of The Weeknd's bloody, psychotic grin and Doja floating before us like a goddess. Yeah, when I think of the comeback of instrumental and rock-influenced music, I think of Olivia Rodrigo being sour on her sour album cover, wearing the most Gen Z clothes I've ever seen. And yeah, but when I think of the end of radiant EDM pop, thank God, I think of Billie's slightly unsettling grin and the absence of her eyes on her debut album cover, which I really like that album cover. It's so funny. And of course, when I think of Y2K, a big part of it is a real skater look. It's so iconic. But there are also examples where the album cover isn't good, not at all really, yet it has become iconic thanks to the album's defining music. I can't even explain why. I will never call Brat an ugly album cover, but it technically is an ugly album cover. If you look at the Brat album cover, you really think it took 2 minutes to create it. A disturbingly toxic green, and on top of that, the album title in the worst quality you've ever seen. But it's precisely the courage to release a cover like this that communicates exactly what the album is. What Charlie in her album wants to communicate is that she is completely putting all of her masks off. There is no sugarcoating, there is no holding back. She's very, very honest and also ugly, like in a good way. She's very open about her feelings and getting very ugly. Like, it's a good visual communicator. You wouldn't think that because it's so simple, but the toxic green very much defined Brat Summer. We have a similar case with Beyonce self-titled. Beyonce self-titled is like a new era for Beyonce. It's like a clean wash, like a great reset when you make such an album cover. Black background and just your name. These two examples are actually glitches, so it would not work with a lot of other artists. I think it would work for Taylor Swift, it would work for maybe Britney if she would ever make music again, which I don't think so. I think it would also work for Justin Bieber. Yeah, but I could not think of another artist. It's just really, it is a glitch. Now let's be a hater. What makes for a bad album cover? Above all, a bad album cover doesn't convey any message and gives no clues what the album will be like, what it will sound like, what is the idea, the concept. Maybe sometimes there is no concept. That's why the album cover is like nothing. Take, for example, the cover of Gracie Abrams' latest album. I don't know how it will sound like. I'm not hating on Gracie. I actually really like some of her songs. I enjoyed some of Secret of Us and Good Riddance. And I also like 21 and I Miss You, I'm Sorry. So I'm not one of the haters. But Gracie Abrams' latest album, Daughter from Hell, which is a great album title. The cover to me looks more like a magazine photo shoot than an album cover. Could you imagine putting that cover on a vinyl record and displaying it somewhere in your apartment? What does the cover convey? I don't know. We see that Gracie looks angry, but that's about it. The background is white, she isn't wearing any particular makeup. The cover isn't very interesting either, since there are simply few details for the eye to take in, so you don't have a lot to linger on. It's just her face. You don't even see her outfit, you don't see anything interesting besides her angry facial expression. Personally, I'm put off by covers that looked like I could make them myself. On Canva. For example, I wouldn't even know how to recreate Doja Cat's Planet Her. Like, I genuinely don't know how they did it. It looks like a whole team of graphic designers, a whole team worked on that album cover to be as special as it is. Like, I could make a picture of Gracie. She has an insane face card, so it would look great. And I would just insert the album cover name. The album name in the middle of that picture, and this is like exactly the same. What's actually pretty easy to copy too, the cover of Rini Rap's album Bite Me. yeah, that's also a great example because I hate that album cover, which is such a bummer because her last album cover was so beautiful. I would buy the vinyl. I don't know why she decided to just make a terrible album cover now, but yeah, a white background and a face cut out halfway in an awkward pose. Great. And there's a king of lame album covers, Ed Sheeran. This time with Play. First off, the name of the album, why? But then the bland pink cover with the Play logo, and then unfortunately there's Taylor Swift with her Taylor's version of Fearless. I don't think any Swiftie likes that cover. I never heard someone speaking positive about the album cover. Yeah, I would be fine if there was just no filter. I don't get why she chose that piss yellow sepia filter. Coming to the end of the video, I think it's just very significant that the most important thing of an album cover is that it communicates well what the album's intentions are. A good album cover is basically the foundation of all the visuals people associate with the songs, and especially in our digital world where we share so much visuals in form of TikToks or Instagram posts. It's so important to have that one visual statement of the album. So yeah, if you want to tune in, I would be very happy. And if you like that video, thumbs up. Bye.